Good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. I've got questions for you. What opens with the pure, unadulterated, sweet, simple love of a granddaddy and a grandbaby girl? And what closes with a married woman maybe trying to seduce a married man for revenge? Maybe? If you guessed Greenleaf Season 2, Episode 15, you are correct. Thank you so much for clicking on the video and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. I am Angela and the channel is Be Fabulous You. So Sophie and her granddaddy Bishop are dancing. They practicing because Gigi got, because the baby girl Sophie got her cotillion coming up in a couple weeks. Gigi is watching and enjoying, and then Lady May joins. Lady May is like, well, Marisol's husband is in the hospital, so baby girl Charity will not be able to go on tour, and she's happy. And Gigi and then Pastor Bishop Daddy assert that the family should all chip in, you know, and to help so that the woman can go on tour, you know, help with the child care. And Bishop Daddy says, Gigi and I are just trying to give your daughter Charity the same access to happiness that you have so freely taken for yourself over the years. And we like, shade much, Bishop, Uncle Bishop, Pastor Bishop Daddy? And then May is like, well, me and Charity will go to the hospital to get information instead of making decisions when we don't know what in the hello we are talking about. So they just throwing shade back and forth. They got something going on, and they know, huh? And then we see Mrs. Cross, Rochelle Cross at Bishop's office, and Corinne is pointing to the door. She like, should I leave it open, or? And the bishop is like, close will be fine. And then he's like, you know, okay, well, what's this surprise visit about? And she's bringing him a check, and you know, well, what's this check about? What's really going on? And she's like, oh, it's nice to have someone like you, Bishop, Pastor Daddy, who sees the real me. I'm sure you have that in May. And then Bishop is like, you know, finds out that she got her 5-year cancer screening, and so he's gonna go with Rochelle. She's like, well, they called and they told me to come in, and usually if it's good news you don't have to come in. So Bishop is gonna go with her to provide spiritual support, and the assistant is kind of looking confused as Bishop leaves with Rochelle, and he's like, I'll be back in a couple of hours. And the assistant is like, Then we're in Jacob's office. The politician guy is like, you know, the mayor is stepping down, I'm running. Basie was gonna be my spiritual advisor, you know, so the people know that I'm a godly man. He didn't mention it to you. I just stopped by to see if I could count on the handsome new face of Triumph. It's mutually beneficial. Lots of church and state overlap, like block grants for this homeless program you want to do. And Jacob is like, well, I'll pray on it. Send me over your position papers and such to make sure we're on the same page. And then we see May and Charity coming back from the hospital, and we find out that Marisol's hubby is, you know, not as bad off from Charity's perspective as she thought. But Charity is like, I can't believe you won't let Marisol come on tour. Her husband is gonna be fine. Then we see back with Rochelle and Bishop in the waiting room, and the bishop is like, you know, this is helping me with my message on Sunday. That's what he was working on when she came in, 2 by 2. God made us to need each other. And Rochelle is like, well, I needed you today, even if I didn't think to ask. And then she puts his hand over his hand, and his hand is very close to his inner upper thigh area. Then we see Grace in May's office, and we find out the reason Marisol's husband waited so long to go and got so sick is because he is undocumented and he was afraid of being deported or whatever. And so May is asking Grace to help him to get documents on a fast track. And Grace is like, okay, I'm gonna do that. But is there something wrong between you and Daddy? And May is like, yes. Because earlier when they threw that shade back and forth, Gigi was there like, I'm like, does she notice what's going on? Then we see May. She's heading in the bishop's office, and the assistant is like not really sure what to say, so she don't say anything. And then May opens the door, and she look back, she like, where Bishop? And the assistant is like, with Miss Cross. And then we are at the doctor's office, and Rochelle comes out, and she's all cheerful. She's got the all clear, and the bishop is helping her into her coat. And then he's like, praise God. And Rochelle hugs the bishop, and she's like, I'm so glad that God decided to put you in my life. And they're still hugging. And thank you for being open to letting him do that. And then Bishop, still close to her, is like, I'm happy to be of service. And then he declines, but just barely, her invitation to dinner or drinks to celebrate her wellness. So then we see a video chat between Charity and Jabari, and she's like, well, you know, he's like, 2 weeks is 2 weeks. It's expensive to cover you. You know, I do it, but it's not just me. It's promoters, it's managers, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's okay if you can't. And Charity is like, no, I'll make it work. I'll see you Friday for rehearsal. And then we see Miss Zora has escalated from forehead bruises to checking out arm and back bruises, and she's trying to rush to put on a hoodie when her mama Carissa knocks on her door. And Carissa is like, well, Mr. Darcy came to me about you today. Yeah, your grades are cool, but he says you're not participating in classes. You okay? What's going on? And Zora is like, you are being weird, Mom. I get grief for being mature. I'm maturing. I'm growing up. I used to get in trouble for talking too much, and now I don't talk enough. Come on, Ma, bye. And then we see Pastor Bishop at reporter Darwin's place. Oh, no, not Pastor Bishop. Pastor Gigi at reporter Darius's place after relations, and we find out that Darius is he's dinnering at the Greenleaf mansion, and Sophie is fine with it, but she's like, you know, Gigi is like, you know, something's going on with my parents, you know, but thank you for being perfect. And Darius is like, thank you for being you. And then we see the bishop in the boudoir with Wifey, and Wifey is like, you saw Miss Cross today? And she looks, and he looks, and then Bishop is like, I did. She needed spiritual support to get her 5-year cancer results. And then he looks, and then she looks, and then May is like, oh, I see. And then she looks, and then he looks, and Bishop is like, oh, she's fine, Miss Compassion. Did Karini also tell you that she bought us another check? Oh, she did? Great, because I want you to have all the information. Good night. Shade, shade. Then we see Zora's mama and daddy, and they're discussing Zora. She said what I'd expect her to say. This is what Mama Carissa is saying. But her room was locked, and she was acting very strange. And Jacob Jr., Greenleaf Pastor Triumph, is like, well, maybe she was getting high. I mean, I was at her age when there wasn't no spell. Well, maybe it's edibles. And Carissa, then the next thing we see is Carissa in Zora's room, and she's investigating. She looking, she sniffing, she looking, she sniffing, and then she find the condom just as Zora walks in. What are you doing in my stuff? And then Mama is like, what are you doing with this, Miss Missy? Then we see Charity and Uncle Bishop Daddy. We see Charity and Pastor Bishop Daddy, and Charity is like, you know, Kevin is gone and he's not coming back. And the bishop is like, it sure looks like that. And Charity is like, you know, I want to live my life, and I do like Jabari. I can like other people, and I want to sing not just to Calvary, but to the nation. I mean, Madison Square Garden, that's huge. That's a big deal. And Carlton is available to cover my music ministry here. All you have to do is ask Daddy. And then her daddy says, I got you, just go. Then we see Carissa. How could you be so irresponsible? And then Zora is like, I'm using protection that is responsible with her young dumb behind. I'm not like you. And Carissa is like, oh, I know you think I'm uptight and not cool and not lit, but making your father wait made him respect me. And Zora is like, huh. And Carissa slaps her. And then Carissa is like, I'm sorry. See, now the girl done got slapped. I don't know if her family been slapping her, but I guess she used to getting slapped around and hit up now. That's just what she think is normal. And then she's like, you know, I don't know. If Zora, I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm going to tell your father. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I do know that boy is not to be in this house ever. And I want you to read Corinthians 7. You're worthy. You're beautiful. You know, she trying to affirm her. Then we see Jacob. He meeting with the deacon board. And he's pitching, you know, this homeless program. And Treasurer Brittany is like, you want to start including marginalized this Sunday? As treasurer, I have to talk about the financial realities. Yeah, somebody donated the buses, and yeah, we got volunteer drivers. But what about insurance for the buses? What about insurance for the occupants, the drivers, and the passengers need insurance? Plus, Skanks did that inclusive thing, and we gained 4 new members, but we lost 200. So now you want to bring these these mongrels, these moneyless scallywags into the church. They not going to contribute nothing. They're going to be taking something away. I'm not in charge. The money is in charge. And then Jacob is like, well, Sister Weaver, the Lord is in charge. And the Lord told me that the city is going to pay for it. So let us vote. And they all vote yay, except for the treasurer. And then we see Bishop letting May know that Charity has made her peace. And she is going on the tour. And Carlton is coming back to lead worship. And May is like, says who? And Bishop is like, me. And like everything else in your family, it's not a conversation. More shade. Then we see Sophie and Grace coming downstairs all giddy and girly and gussied up for Darius's joining the family for dinner. And he comes in bearing flowers for the mama, and he's got music for Sophia, and he got a kiss for Grace. And then Gigi gives, not Gigi, but Sophia gives Darius a playlist. We see Jacob leaving the office, and the politician is coming in, and he's like, you know, I don't want any of that, you know, gay stuff at the prayer breakfast or whatever event. So it's kind of like he's being, for the money, we can see that Jacob is going to be, his message is going to be influenced by money. Jacob is like, well, inclusivity is what we do here. And the politician is like, let's stick to the common ground. My election will mean you are swimming in block grants. Money. And Jacob is like, okay. Okay. Then we see Darius and, you know, they're having drinks and conversation pre-dinner at the Greenleaf Mansion. And May is like, well, what church did your parents attend? And Darius is like, blah, 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 Presbyterian. And May is like, ugh. And Darius is like, well, my parents were close. You know, they were in love, and my dad passed and my mom passed just a few days after. And Bishop is like, to have a bond like that with another person? And Lady May, she's all smiling. She like, yes. And Bishop is like, I can't imagine it. And it's really awkward, and everybody is like, And then Lady May is like, well, let's go inside and eat. I think that roast is ready. And then afterwards, we see Grace is all starry-eyed, and after dinner, and thank you to Darius, who says, and Darius is like, oh, you're welcome, you're great. He's starry-eyed too, I guess. And he said, your parents, they are having issues. And she like, I feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better. Then we see Tasha Skanks get in the car, and it's Basie. And he's like, don't trust the Greenleafs. They conned us out of our church, and they killed my father. Get those Greenleafs, baby. And Tasha's like, yes, baby, I will. I love you. Where are you? I'm never going to see you again. Then we see Grace in the bishop's office. Meeting with an immigration lawyer, plus the bishop, plus Rochelle, who brokered the meeting with the lawyer. And Bishop is like, Rochelle just knows everyone. I mean, she's the one who got the girls into the cotillion after that mix-up. And Grace is like, yes. And she kind of got a side eye for her father. It's kind of a full-on eye. And then, you know, she's talking to the lawyer about the case. And then, you know, I'm like, is Rochelle giving the immigration attorney the eye during his speaking? And then the bishop is like, you know, and don't worry about the money, we'll pay your fee. And Rochelle is like, Oric, please. And Oric is like, those two are a 1-2 punch. And Bishop is like, ha 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 ha. And Gigi is like, and then we see Bishop at Carlton's, and he and Carlton and his husband are doing some work together in the garage, and the bishop invites Carlton to, you know, be the music minister for, you know, and, you know, Carlton is like, what, you want me to be your pet gay? You want me to be the one gay in the church? What you trying to do? And Bishop is like, no, I want all of you fully and freely and with full benefits, and Calvary will join Triumph in being inclusive. And the bishop is like, 2 by 2. This is my message this week. So we guess next episode we gonna open with this big 2 by 2 sermon. Then we're back at Triumph, and Tasha Skanks is, and you know, and a special guest singer. Y'all probably know who he is. Our leading worship, praise and worship, the song, you know, the singing, the singation. And then Jacob is like, you know, Triumph has been moving toward inclusivity, especially with our homeless brothers and sisters. Our other special guest today is Deputy Mayor Skip Leonard, and the city of Memphis has arranged for Triumph to receive a $75,000 or $25,000 grant. Was it 75 or 25? And the church stands there, oh yes, yes, yes. And the treasurer is like, and eventually she gets up, but her jaws are all tight, and you know, her body is all tight. She mad. Then we see Bishop joined on the balcony at the mansion by May, and you know, you ready to talk? Yeah, I'm ready to talk. You ready to talk? And he like, you know, I know about your affair with Lionel. I saw it when he was here. When did it happen? And May is like, I didn't leave you when he asked me to. I used the passion to fill the pit left behind because of you and my sister. And then Bishop is like, it happened one time and I told you immediately. And then May is like, but I didn't want to lose your love. Don't want to lose your love. And Bishop is like, I don't think I love you. You got me in my own house looking foolish for years. I don't know if I will ever love you again. And then Lady May is like, you know, she's looking all, and then she says, you can't give up on this family. I didn't choose you because you were perfect, but because we are growing together. We're fighting to be better together. James, please. And then the bishop is like, and he walks away. He can't forgive her. And then we back at Triumph, or he can't forgive her now. And we back at Triumph, and Tasha Skanks comes into Jacob's office, and she's like, you got a minute? I cleaned out the office for Carissa. We know she needs it. And I just wanted to do whatever I can do to make your job easier. I believe in you, Jacob. And then Jacob is like, he stands up. He had come over to the other side and kind of sat on the chair next to her. And then he stands up. He's like, great. And if we keep both believing in Jesus, we'll get to heaven. And then he starts walking toward the door like, what's going on? What's really going on? And then Tasha's like, oh, I know how busy it can be for a pastor. And she gets up and she follows him to the door. And then she turns around and she looks back at the church, at the office, the pastor's office, you know, as she follows. And then she follows Jacob to the door. And that's the end of the episode. So we got some stuff brewing, some brewation. And, you know, I like these older people love stories, dramatic issues that they have on this show and Mary Jane, and even on Queen Sugar. Because, you know, it's like, you know, life it's not like everybody get old and wise and then everything is just all perfect and wonderful. People still be struggling with stuff. So, yay. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome back. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome back. Thank you for sharing. Share it with all your friends and family. Why not? Thank you for subscribing. Did I say that already? Well, I didn't say we're working on 200 subscribers. And I think that's everything. Today is the best day ever. And you are the greatest. You're number one. the video vixen acted like she was gonna get in the frame, but she didn't. And be fabulous, you. Yes, baby, yes. Bye.